Il Trovatore. Libretto by Salvatore Camarano. First performance on the 19th of January, 1853, at the Teatro Apollo, Rome. The writing of the libretto for Il Trovatore was anything but simple. Verdi wrote to Salvatore Camarano, "You don't say a word about whether or not you like this drama. I suggested it to you because it seemed to me to offer fine theatrical effects, and above all, something original and out of the ordinary. If you didn't share my opinion, why didn't you propose another plot?" Biscay and Aragon. The beginning of the 15th century. Ferrando, officer of the guard, tells the story of the noble Di Luna family. 20 years ago, the gypsy Azucena kidnapped the old Conte di Luna's son and threw him into a fire to take revenge for her mother, who the Conte had burnt alive. That child's brother, grown up, is now the Conte di Luna, and he decides to hunt down Azucena and take revenge. Leonora is the object of the Conte di Luna's love, but she is in love with the troubadour Manrico. Leonora's cavatina is a milestone in Verdi's works. Here he reached a level of poetic intensity that was rarely achieved in his other operas. Manrico serenades his beloved. But in the darkness, Leonora embraces the Conte di Luna, believing he is Manrico. When the moon illuminates his face, Leonora realizes the mistake she has made and pulls away from him. The Conte, furious, challenges his rival to a duel. Manrico arrives at the gypsy camp injured following his duel with the Conte. Azucena reveals the truth to Manrico. 20 years ago, it was not the Conte's son, but her own son, whom she threw into the flames. Manrico, who thought he was Azucena's son, now feels lost. He wonders what his real identity is. Leonora is convinced that Manrico is dead and decides to join a convent. But the Conte is preparing to kidnap her. Introduced by the string pizzicato, he pleads with Leonora in this aria, which is his equivalent of the soprano's cavatina of Act 1. But the Conte doesn't succeed in kidnapping Leonora. Manrico arrives just in time to save his beloved. Azucena is arrested by the Conte and sentenced to death. Manrico and Leonora are about to be secretly married, but when they receive news that the gypsy Azucena is to be burnt alive, Manrico rushes to save her. In the cabaletta Di Quella Pira, the troubadour delivers one of the liveliest, most famous and striking moments of the whole opera.
Di quella pira lo rendo tutta la pira basi a campo e ne pisognerà occhio prato col sangue mostro la spagnerò.
Manrico has been captured. Leonora offers herself to the Conte di Luna in exchange for the freeing of Manrico. But Leonora would rather die than betray her beloved, and so she poisons herself. The Conte di Luna doesn't keep his promise. He condemns Manrico to death and forces Azucena to look at her son's lifeless body. It is only now that the gypsy truly gets her revenge, by revealing to the Conte that Manrico, the man he has just killed, was his brother. Despite the problems encountered during its composition, Il Trovatore was the most successful opera of Verdi's time. In fact, the opera faced many difficulties. The story was complicated and hard to put into verse. Camerano died unexpectedly before completing the libretto, and the premiere had a cast with only 2 stars in the leading roles. Nevertheless, for the public, it was love at first sight. Il Trovatore does not continue down the same path as the previous opera, Rigoletto. On the contrary, it is the exact opposite. It is probably for this reason that many critics were not convinced of the result Verdi had obtained with Il Trovatore and considered it a step backwards compared to the progress reached with Rigoletto. However, the power of the opera was clearly recognized. The Wagnerian George Bernard Shaw wrote, "Il Trovatore is in fact unique. It has tragic power, poignant melancholy, impetuous vigor, and a sweet and intense pathos that never loses its dignity. It is swift in action and perfectly homogeneous in atmosphere and feeling. It is absolutely void of intellectual interest. The appeal is to the senses all through." Today, Il Trovatore charms the public thanks to an irresistible romantic aura that it gives off from beginning to end. It was the last time that Verdi was to tackle such a complicated drama, full of dark tinges, extreme emotion, and violent passion. Il Trovatore is possibly the finest example and Verdi's final farewell to popular romantic melodrama. In the classification of Verdi's most performed operas in the world, Il Trovatore comes in 5th place. In the classification of the most performed operas in the world, Il Trovatore comes in 23rd place.